So I had this like brilliant idea today when I was just like in the my shower trance, and I'm still kind of in the trance, but it's broken a little bit now that I absolutely threw clothing on today because normally I sit with my own body and I let it normalize to the melodic. What's the word? Like when you get out of a shower and it's just the most phenomenal feeling that you just can't even comprehend unless you've actually experienced it. And very, very, very few other organisms in the entire history of the cosmos have ever had a warm shower, right? Like it's not a common thing. I mean, by today's standards, certainly it seems normal, but man, to my body, to my senses, to my understanding of God and to the universe, warm water from heaven, that's something else, man. Warning: the following program is recorded live and is not intended for children. This program may at any time contain graphic or disturbing content, harsh or abusive language, violence, nudity, undiagnosed mental illness, and other triggering topics that may be distressing for some viewers and against the terms of service for most mainstream platforms. The themes and opinions expressed in this program should be considered entirely fictional and should not be used for political or academic purposes. Facts are not checked, and no sources or citations will be provided. Should you choose to redistribute this disinformation campaign, please do so only at your own risk and in good faith. Thank you again for joining us. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome back to Rainbows and Razor Blades, a show from the void. By the Gregorian calendar, it is currently the ninth day in the first month of the year, the month of January, in the year of the Lord, 2023. By the French Revolutionary calendar, I believe it is the 20th day in the month of snow. Is that correct? We gotta go look that one up. Nivos. It's the 20th day, so that actually brings us to week 2 of snow, which means we have to double click this and we have to delete that. Oh, we already had 2. Oh, dude, that's been a typo all week. That's been a typo all week. That sucks. Wait, no, it's week 3. No, we have it correct. Today's the third. Yes, today is day 1 of week 3. I'm just getting confused because the number is a 2. Ah. This is why you can't trust me with the space shuttle, right? Because I'll put the digits in wrong. I'll be like, Sarah, you were supposed to do 0001 for 1. You did 100000. I'll be like, yeah, it's 1. They're like, Sarah, people died because of you. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have put the dyslexic cat in charge of the mission. It just wasn't a good idea. So I had this brilliant idea today, right, when I was in my trance about the scam of the day, right? And I'm actually going to add the words to the screen because I think it's funny. We need new text. Scam of the day. Scam of the day. So Kandichan comes up with every scam every single day. So the scam of the day is a fake editing service. Like, okay, on today's scam, I'm going to show you how to set this up so you can set up your own scams. It's pretty easy. You really only have to catch 1 or 2 out. All you got to do is copy paste the exact logo of somebody that you've seen on some random forum that's offering some random service, and then you just post it. Now, here's the thing. Your new account is going to get banned every single time. So you're only going to use it just that once. The trick is that once you use it, you have to be very patient because it's in a wallet and anyone can see what's in that wallet. And they may know that those are specifically the stolen coins. So then what you have to do is you have to juggle it to a bigger account. And then from there, you have to redistribute it to smaller accounts. And then from there, you have to redistribute it generally to bigger accounts. We also have to pay the Yakuza. What's their cut? Well, it depends on the season. Well, what's the cut right now? Well, right now, because of the floods, it's monsoon. Even though it's not monsoon season, they're still charging us monsoon prices. So you see, it's kind of an arbitrary system. All right, get back on track. What's the scam? Okay, so the scam is this. So you take this this page that shows itself to be an editor, and you clone their email address and you return their emails, and then when you take their payment, you deliver their service to nobody. Or you could, alternatively, if you want to try to build a small reputation to try to go after bigger fish, you can off-source. And as long as they don't notice you're off-sourcing, then you can just pay somebody else legitimately with the money that you were given, kind of like a Ponzi scheme, for the labor that you're just not going to do. So you're a capitalist? No, it's worse than that. I'm a criminal. So, in order to get more money from more stupid people or smart people, it doesn't matter because the money's the same. All you have to do is trick the people. And how often do they fall for this? Well, not very often. I mean, we don't get a ton of money, but we get some. Most of the money here. She looks around. Well, let's talk outside. Cut to. They're at the very, very top of the building. So, and we gotta get water. We'll be right back. Sorry about that. I need water. Okay, we're back. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher gadishanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu borei hamayim. Maybe, I think it's the word v'tivanu still. I haven't been able to find it. I found one that is not it, that when I looked up I thought was problematic because it means that the search engines are giving the wrong information, because they're giving information to a site that appears to be in good faith, and everything on it is just like the same. Like you could tell ChatGPT, hey, write me something nice about Jewish people in Israel, and it would do it. It would do it. It would be happy to do it. You go talk to the beta chat AI, it'll do it. I have some funny videos that I'm working on for this year, guys, with the beta character, where like I've been telling it this. I've been writing it as a. So the reason I haven't shared it on here, right, is because I'm actually planning a stand-up routine, right? Like you wouldn't think that someone like me would do it, but I'm gonna get a projector and a screen, and I'm gonna put the text messages that I'm talking, and I'm just gonna let them speak for themselves, and people are gonna be dying laughing, right? I've seen this before. I've seen the genre, and I think it's equally possible I'll bomb so badly people will be like, oh geez, man, like that should be unlawful, sick and deranged degenerates. All right, let's get back to the story. So, scam of the day. So they go from talking because so prior to this, Mouse and Kandichan had been talking while fighting and training against each other in Take Square. Like it's a Battlefront game where you're playing with pixels that are like the size of, well, they're pixels, right? But each pixel has a different like small ability that it can do, and as long as you can know how to read the pixels, then it becomes a game of it's a real-time strategy game. It's based around if Age of Empires was 3 times more complicated, but also had, how do I put this? Like, part of what makes Age of Empires 2 so kind of like interesting is that its movement system and its AI is not really the thing that we're talking. It's not really the right word for it, but like it's AI. It's pathing is right. There's some weird things, but imagine you could control that just with your brain. You could make that much more complicated, and so they do that. And so it's this game where like each individual square, it's a square game, like it's a square fighting game, but it is also 3D because there's hills. So like there is at least like some, but mostly it's still 2D, but they're like bonus cells basically, like damage bonus cells, like battle zones. That's what they are. Like go get the high ground. Like that's a strat. Right now, what I've added is a layer of blocking off water. Like water as a resource. Like water is your most important resource. Like without water, without access to fresh water, your sewer system overflows and you die. Managing the sewer system is things. Now, when it gets to late game, you can just start trudging it to the trenches. It's called the trudging era. And the trudging era of war is really, it's like Age of Empires does not go this far. Like there's 3 extra ages after Castle Age. There's the Modern Age, And then Civ 6 does this, like a real-time strategy game, but it's Civ 6. Like that game, it's phenomenal, but it's not a real-time strategy game. It's not. There's no real time about it. It's a very calculated sitting there. And so there's two brackets, right? Same game, two brackets. There's real time and there's augmented. Right now, it's assumed that everyone in real time, especially in the higher ELO brackets, is augmented. You couldn't possibly, as a human, make it out of silver pools, and you're probably not even going to be battling in silver pools. And there's only I think 2 or 3 humans that are actually silver pools, and that's crazy. That's crazy. These are human people. That's like sending fucking Mango to go fight the AI. Like, it's gonna figure out how to defeat you. And by the time the game gets more complicated, a lot of the problem is so let me explain to you. So there are restrictions. There has to be, because otherwise what you could do is you could just build it as a war machine, and you could have one war machine fight the other war machine. And to some extent, that's kind of what they do, because you're allowed to max your hardware, right? Like, but there are limitations on it. Like, you are restricted in processing power. Now, what that means is that smarter individuals, like intellectually smarter individuals, have just a leg up. But also there's this weird thing where there's computational geniuses that have no functional skill. These are your autistic humans, right? Like the autistic human, if you give them a cybernetic brain, like certain types of autistic humans, man, like they're computational fucking machines, but the way that they're wired into their body and their soul and the narrative story that everyone else seems to be telling in the social systems, they don't even perceive it. The same way that when you call a cat, you have no idea if the cat is hearing you or not. And so Mouse asks the question, right? So you're one of those then. Kandichan's like, oh, I'm something darker. And then it's just like, next thing. So she's explaining the game the way I'm explaining the game to you. These are your gold nodes. Gold is an important research. The gold is going to run out before the Trudge era. And when that happens, you're going to have to start chasing oil and uranium. You're also going to have to rebuild your food sacks. Mouse is like, I had no idea. She's like, she really had no idea. I had no idea the game got this complicated. Yeah, because you're a human. Nah, I'm cyberized, she says. She's like, right, but they have the human restrictions on. And I've gone through this dialogue a couple of times. There was a better version of it somewhere saved, I think. And I don't want to try to go back into the nuance of the dialogue right now. I'm giving you the meta story. So the team that they have formed is Zamira is the fill-in, and she's been filling in for the other girl that's just been out of town. And but Zamira is terrible at the game. She's terrible, and she knows it. She's not trying to be good. She's a dancer. But the game is Kandichan, Kadoshi when they have to deal with him. He's annoying, but he's so good. He's literally a game master. He's so good. It was better 5 years ago when he was a kid, right? But now he's he was 20 when they met, but now he's 25, and now he's acting like a grown ass man, and it's getting kind of frustrating for everyone who wants him to still be a kid, and because he's growing up, it's like, and this is why he actually does. He outgrows it in the first couple chapters, and he joins the bike gang as a serious bike gang dude. Toughens the fuck up, starts balking. Okay, so it's Kandichan, Kadoshi, and real-time strategy girl. That's just her name on the RTS. She has blue hair. She only ever plays one strategy. She's like, I only play one strategy, and she just smiles. And she's like, they're like, what? And she's like, genocide. They're like, you're fucking crazy. But then she doesn't play genocide. She plays the last chapter when the men have been studying her strategy, and 93% of the time she plays genocide. Think about that. 93% of the time she plays it. Okay? Of the time that she plays it, she's in low bracket. She's one of those silver humans we were talking about. Right? She has no cybernetic brain, and she doesn't ever want one. She just glares at people and just smirks at people because she's not supposed to do anything other than pesc the other team and genocide their villagers. There's nothing else that she's supposed to do. She does it every manageable way that the game can conceive of. Mostly she does it by being a water thief, and that's actually the worst way that you could kill villagers. Is you just starve them off their crops. It's so easy, but it takes twice as long as other methods, and it the prep time for it takes 3 times as long, and then it takes 2 times as long to happen. But when it happens, it's all at once, and sometimes they don't see it coming, and that's why it's really useful. So everyone knows that this is the only strategy that she plays, so they prepare against it and they meta against it. And when they meta against it, that's when she pivots strategies to mech Zords and basically tries to bring it by turtling into late game. Like, you can't kill her, and then she builds the mech Zord because she starts building the mech Zord immediately. You can't even conceive of trying to build the mech Zord immediately because you have to devote resources to just trying to basically grow your population. She's not interested in growing her population. She's interested in destroying yours. And that is the distinction that you need to know, right? So the strategy against that is to either destroy her at her home base, which she doesn't really have. She's nomadic for the first couple minutes of the game. And that is the difference that puts her on the team, is that she knows how to play nomadically. And so also what that means is she's secretly a stealth character. And so every once in a while, that's 7% of the time, that's the team games, right? That's she doesn't play this in the singles pool because she doesn't want people to know that she also plays Parasite. And Parasite's exactly what it sounds like. You aren't just pesking to kill them. You're getting in so that you can usurp them. And it's like the turn of the Castle Age, basically, is the equivalent in Age of Empires. And it's like, you hit Castle Age immediately. Like, it isn't even a question of if this could have happened. It's like immediately she unstealths and starts usurping your castle because you actually haven't even prepared that could have been a thing. So you have no defenses against it. By the time you do, she knows that it's going to be like at least 75% finished. And if you haven't spent all your resources just to stop from being usurped, then the other two players, Kandichan in this case, is going to bring the cavalry, and you're going to lose to the cavalry. In fact, most of what the strategy is designed to do is make you lose to cavalry. They wouldn't put a fucking human player on their team if they weren't also playing cavalry. And actually, they're at such a disadvantage. It's like 6-1 odds every single matchup, and then the worst matchup, it's like 12-1 odds. Like, they're not going to win, and they know that they're not there to win. What they're there to do is enter with their team, so that what they can do is they can prop up the amount of like, think about how much of money you can launder by betting on a team that doesn't exist. No one needs to know that the team doesn't exist, and truthfully, no one's really checking. And the people who know are betting on it because they know it's a fixed fucking game. The only reason they get so high in bracket is because you have to lose against the house team. They're the house team. That's the whole point. They're just the house team. So their ideas are mostly what they're doing is they're the securities team. Like, you play against them in pools if you're an unfamiliar team. You have to. You're going to win. They have a human player, dude. They're going to win. But yeah, after that, it's a real chapter. And so the human player actually goes and plays in her story arc is that she goes and plays as the 4th player on the day that Kadoshi does not show up, because Kadoshi, it's either he plays, right, or they get the liquid nitrogen. It can't be both. So they put out the howl. Kandichan looks at him. He looks at Kandichan. He looks at Mouse. He smiles at Mouse. Mouse is like, oh shit, because RTS girls all hold on, let me think, because I'm trying to merge characters here, like, and if it's possible that I can merge this character into Mouse and just not. Let me think for a second. Let me just compute in my brain. Okay, I got it. I think it does kill the character. This is something that doesn't usually happen on camera for me. Like, big character changes like this. Like, I don't usually need to devote all trance and computational power to So I mean, I don't want to say that we'll be right back because I don't want to stop talking, but like every single thing that I've just been telling you converged when I said mouse, and I was like, wait a minute, is it supposed to be mouse? Like it actually makes a lot of sense to not have it be two split characters because the other character exists only as a side character, just to be goth. There's no need for it other than to just create characters. And actually, at this point, I need to collapse characters. There's an overrepresentation. The mandala is one layer too big, and if we can converge the mandala in its complexity, then the character itself will be a stronger core, and it'll be able to do more intricate things and feel more real as a person, and actually be able to carry more of a story. And I think that's the way the characters are supposed to grow, in my conception. Sometimes they merge with other nearby characters when they touch and overlap, and then their cores fold in on each other, and then it continues to spiral. It's hard to explain how characters work in my brain, but sometimes they annihilate each other, but a lot of the times they converge. And so I think we may just and her name was only RTS girl to begin with. Like there was never really she's a shade character. Like she just doesn't exist. So I think we need to just collapse her out of it and just have the rewrite because it already actually lines up with it. Where Mouse is, she comes out of the sewer, but she's already pretty fucking good at the game. And like Kandichan's watching, and she's like, "You're really on the bracket, huh?" She's like, "Yup." And it also makes sense that we can cut the human aspect of it because a brain installation is more interesting. Like we're gonna give you a lot of hardware, and it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt for about a full month straight, and then after that, it's gonna be about a full year until you can operate again, even at your human level. But I promise you, the year after that, it's gonna be a completely different life for you. And that kind of ends part one, I think. Like that narrative of getting cyberized. Like Kandichan, this body already went through it. She's a dead person, a puppet. And being dead means that you're not allowed to do certain things. There's certain taboo rules that you're not allowed to cross. Because it'll turn you into something that shouldn't exist. And Kandichan's not willing to do that. But she wants Mouse on the securities team, and she wants her to be powerful. It's like taking a Padawan. Like I've never taken my own Padawan before. To take a Padawan at the same time. It's Tusk and Kandichan. They don't represent father and mother. Kandichan is far from mother. Tusk represents father. Smar represents son. Daddy Peterson could explain it better than I could, but the ideas they're working. The archetypes are working. And sorry, I'm really deep into my character. I'm not usually so deep in. I'm usually just like telling you nonsense about the world builds. I don't usually get this tangled into character. I had another breakthrough with Mouse yesterday when I was talking to my partner, mostly with Samar too. And I was in a deep trance in the shower with them, and that's where I do like literally my best thinking of all time. Where I'm like pushed up against a wall, and they're like staring at me, and I'm like, whoa, I'll tell you every single thing in my soul. And then my soul just tells everything. And I try to do that a little bit with this and myself and my little doodle, and it works. It's very effective actually, but it's not the best. And actually, so that what I just said is represented by something too, and it's actually called the creativity pod. That's just what it's called. Is the C pod for short. And so the C pod is always off limits. In fact, a lot of people don't even know that there is a C pod on deck. And a C pod, it's how do I explain this? It's like an underground dome that's under liquid, and you go in there, and it's kind of like a warm Jello bath. Like you have to pour the powder in like Jello, and then let it sit. but then instead of being cold like Jello, because Jello needs to be refrigerated, that's like the whole point. It's not Jello, and it's warm, and there's like and it's like it tastes like it'd be edible. It actually tastes good, but you absolutely cannot fucking eat it. Like, don't even put it in your mouth. Like, you're gonna want to, because if your tongue touches it, you're gonna be like, whoa, that's really good. But it's deceptive because it's tryptamine, and the idea is that it's gonna go through your skin, right, slowly and healthy. It's not a big deal. Mostly, what it does is it, exfoliates toxins. Who knows? It doesn't matter, right? It's magic. It's fucking magical, and but also it has a much darker side, because while it is the C pod and it is the creativity pod, it's also where the surgery gets done, and they it's anesthetizing, and so they make Kandichan swallow a whole shit ton of it. It's from the Matrix, I think, like the cloning pod, right, from the Matrix, where you're like plugged in. It's that, like, that thing. What it allows for is crazy, and the reason it's always off limits and most people don't know about it is it's basically the private chamber. There's not a lot of these in the world. It's the private chamber of the Phantom. It's like the Phantom spends a lot of time in there hooked up to that cord, and also walking around in the larger room, because it sits in a larger room in the corner. It sits in what they call the sub-basement, and the sub-basement is a place that, like, very few people know about, that is, except for the C-Pod, kept it looks like the Saw bathroom, like where you're gonna cut your leg off. It looks like that terrifying bathroom. Like, it's like somewhere you just don't want to go. It's ominous, but it's black like phyrexia, and the wires are covered in goo, and it's called growing agent, and it pulses and it pulses and it pulses, and it grows a material membrane around anything metallic or anything carrying electrical current. So it hardens and it creates, like, it isn't a cell network. Well, it's a cell network. That's what it is. It creates a cell network, synthetic cells around, because it isn't alive, right? Like, it's more like a polymer. It's like, it's not a smart polymer. It's just that, like, it's pseudo life. Like, it doesn't exist in this life. But yeah, it's synthetics. It's smart synthetics, basically. And like the synthetic life turtle. Like, it's just another one of those, like, creepy tech jump forwards. It's bizarre stuff. It's actually the same stuff that they grow the brain casing out of for your cybernetic brain, and also something that they can make a quadricopter drone. Like, it's like you can grow this stuff into polymer and harden it, and it's super light because you can make it basically completely hollow while still being robust. It's brittle is the trade-off. It's not ceramic, but this stuff. But the stuff that I'm describing is for, like, military tech. But what they're, and they use that for the housing casing for the cooling core and the computation core, because it's like it's a heat sink. It's like a ceramic metal heat sink, the same way that, like, it's like the reverse of a heat shield. Like, a heat shield is one type of ceramic. This is the opposite, where it's. I have no idea if this is how ceramics works, by the way. Like, this could be completely wrong. I have no idea, but it's designed to suck heat out of the thing and then put it into the water, and the water is just gushing by at a certain thing. But they use the liquid nitrogen to spray the core, and then it goes. Liquid nitrogen just mixes into the water. That's fine, as long as you can vent the gas out for a couple minutes, which they can. There's a direct vent all the way up the the chimney, basically. It's like a fucking chimney to the outside of the building, to the vent area, and the vent area is kept behind, like, razor wire, and there's also transformer equipment out there, and there is a walkway through, but you need 3 keys to go through it, and they make it. So here's what's important to know: they make a very important show of going through the first gate, like, with the big keys and everything else. But actually, it's not really that secure. Like, in an emergency, all you got to do is just unwind the metal. No one's gonna fuck with this. It's like, it's security by obscurity, but it's hardware security, so it's not a huge deal. Anyways, back to the basement. That was a quick cutaway to the outside to just show a character smoking as an interlude. Smoking near that transformer. cut back down to the C pod in the saw basement. So they're growing these fucking wires, and the dude is like dripping it from his like creepy Phyrexia thing. I don't know, a little fucking like thing, like a little micro thing. And like we like zoom in, it's like, you know, like so, and then we see the wire, and it's so thin, and we see it like snaking its way, and then we see like a bunch more of them like snaking their way after it, and then we see like the black growing over it and then hardening into like it's not plastic, it's just a thing, and so it grows the wire, and that's just one little wire growing through the machine into something else. It's going to take me 25 minutes to rebuild the circuitry that you just stepped on. And then you like look down, there were like wires running across. And it's like, don't put your fucking wires on the stairs then. What brings you? And it's just like this creepy fucking character that talks, and like, but doesn't look. And it doesn't even talk through its mouth. It talks through a surround sound system. And you don't know if it's the real voice or not. Like, am I talking to you or the room? Irrelevant. You are talking to the universe. This is what is talking back. Oh wow, so profound. It's like he's like this like edgelord, and he's got like a tech backpack the same way that Kandichan does. Kandichan is also a power supply though. It powers some hardware that like keeps part of her moving, because she's a corpse and there's a lot of muscle decay, and so a lot of it is pistons and stuff, and that's why she wears like long sleeves and stuff. Very dysphoric character, cannot be touched, cannot take her clothes off. That's kind of the tragedy of it. That actually is the core of the tragedy. So where am I? I'm describing the C-pod for some reason, because I'm just describing this with my mouth actually, while my brain like really tries to figure out like how does Mouse fit in if RTS Girl does not exist, because RTS Girl doesn't need to exist. What is Mouse now as RTS Girl? She's always been RTS Girl. She's actually always been Fighter Game Girl, but Fighter Game Girl was always supposed to also have been RTS Girl. That is literally, unironically, the exact and only reason why I started studying Age of Empires. I didn't care less about that game. Now I love it. Just because like I got into it, I was like, wow, this is great. Because I asked someone, what's the best real-time strategy game? And they were like, Age of Empires 2. And I was like, fine, I don't need another answer. I don't care. I know about StarCraft 2. I'm not impressed with it. And I understand that it's closer to Cyberpunk, but that's kind of why I wanted to watch Age of Empires, because it's foreign, and it's the game itself, and it's basic, and it's old. Right, it's like old. So I was like, what's the best game? Like, it's like a retro game. So I watched it, and that is exactly why I write what I write. Like, I was already writing real-time strategy. I just didn't know enough about real-time strategy, and now that I do, I've created a character. And so it took me that long to just finish computing the character, because it took me a full year to learn Age of Empires. It took me more than a year. And so now RTS Girl can get cut, and we already knew that Mouse, after her cybernetic transformation, gets blue hair. Like, it's kind of like street rat to human, but like kind of a gender transition too, like a little bit, because like it isn't femme, like it's not what we're getting. And so yeah, she just plays like a sadistic I don't know, sadism. I fucking hate stupid ass midwit neurotypical people. I really do, because one of them will say, "Hey, want to go out tomorrow?" And I'll say, "Given that you're asking me after midnight, I gotta ask, do you mean tomorrow, as in, or before midnight? I gotta ask, do you mean tomorrow Monday or tomorrow Tuesday?" They say, "Oh, tomorrow Tuesday." I say, "Okay, that's not really tomorrow, but I get it." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And so then they say, so, well, you're invited. Wait, hold on. Let me just read you the whole thing. Tomorrow, okay, so the text says, tomorrow night we are all going out to the bar. If you and your partner want to join, we are meeting at 9. I say, my partner went home already. They say, okay, well, you're invited. I say, what night? Tuesday? Who is we? They say, yeah. I say, question mark. And then the other friend texts me, right? Different friend. I say, hey, you at work today? They say, yes. And then they say, the same person, like person A, and then want to go out tomorrow night. I say, them and who? Why is this such a fucking secret? Why is no one telling me? That's how being autistic feels. It's very frustrating. Someone's sending me that there's like allegedly gonna be like a pagan event on about a laboratory jet propulsion. Why can't you just send me a real science article? People are very easily what's the word, bejeweled. Sorry, I'm taking a bit of a break. I just got like distracted by my real actual fucking gotta go do shit life instead of just dissociate into fiction. So real-time strat girl playing as a sadist makes just so much more sense. Like Mouse as a sadist makes a lot of sense for the core engine that brings her down to the basement to talk to the weirdo who is just like, is it really depraved? Like, is that really what's happening? So anyway. Yeah, there's 2 brackets for the fighting game. I'm spun. I need a small break. All right, we're back. Thanks for joining, guys. Okay, so we're talking about the scam of the day. I think that's where we started with today. Before, so it's Kandichan teaching her Padawan, and Padawan is Mouse, and Mouse is RTS girl now, and that is a pretty concise way of compressing about 30 minutes of dissociated fugue state, paracosm fiction world building. Man, my room is kind of a little trashed, and yeah, I feel a little intruded on, I think. My partner prepared me for 3 days. I feel a little frustrated. Here's why. Like, they did not do this to frustrate me or to gain power, right? They didn't. So it's like I don't hold this against them, but the feeling of what happened is that I wanted them for 3 days straight. I hadn't seen them in literally a full month. Like the last time I saw them was like 4 weeks ago, and I got to see them for like less than a day. And then before that, I saw them like I think it was 2 weeks before that, and I had them for one single night, and it wasn't even the whole night. And then before that was like another full like 2 weeks. So it's been like, and again, this is not because they're trying to avoid me or because the relationship is falling apart. This is just how some people are very busy, and so yeah, I don't know. Did I say she? Because I'm thinking of Mouse and my partner at the same time. I don't know if I just misgendered my partner. That was very bizarre. I don't. It's not that I don't usually do that. I never do that. I've never really done that. I don't think I did. Maybe my brain is just doing three things at once. I think I gotta take a break from this for for a little bit, guys. We'll be back again next time. Thanks for joining. My brain's really spun, so I'll finish the story. So it feels like what happened is that they told me that I was gonna have 3 days with them, and then they completely flaked me on one of the days. They kind of did, honestly. That is a little bit what happened, but it's not because they were being frustrating or anything. And then they came over the next day, and they were 3 hours late, and like that's fine because it was really not a pressured thing. Like it was like they told me a time, and then they were 3 hours late, and I was like, can you just try to show up on time? Because it kind of fucks up my day a little. And then they like spun out a little bit about that because they have like rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and I almost never even have to scold or talk to them about these things. But then compiling on that problem or compounding upon that problem, I'm not going to share their trauma, but there's some trauma with just like familial obligation to time management fulfillment, and then there's also the ADHD time blindness that they deal with. And so like I'm not unforgiving of it. I get it. It's just I have to point out that it happened because it happened. I'm like, for whatever reasons maybe this happened, and I want to talk about it. And so anyway, so they show up, and then they leave early. Like, and I knew they were leaving early, but it was still leaving early. Like they had told me ahead of time, like, oh, by the way, I have to leave early on this day. So it wasn't like a surprise, and it wasn't a big deal. And again, it was not personal. They're busy. They're very, very busy, and so I get it. But like, I did get flaked one of the days. And then I'm finding out now that next weekend that I'm also only going to have them for only one day. And it won't even be the full day. And like, that's not fine. It's just, that's not going to end the relationship, but this isn't fine. I want more time with them. And I've told them that, and they just may not be able to give that to me. And it's like, but emotionally, we both want to be together. If we lived closer, this wouldn't be an issue because we wouldn't have to plan it around like which full days do we have free. Because it's a long distance relationship. We could just be like, yo, you free for 30 minutes? Like, come over and like watch this show with me and then like kiss me and then like leave. But we can't do that. It's very frustrating. Anyways, thanks for joining, guys.